Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the podcast. I'm your co-host M2 Dave, and tonight we have Tom, Rio, and Slips is back. Let's get right into the topics. I want to ask you guys about the current MK11 balance of the game. What are you guys thinking? Rio, go.
I would say better than the previous Unrest games. More characters can compete. I think it could be a little bit better balanced than it is, but for what it is, this is only the first balance patch we've received for the game. I think it's pretty good. I'd say every character, for the most part, can do something with the right player behind them. I think the only bad characters right now are Kotal and Kano. But by bad, I just mean there's not really a reason I would see someone who wants to be competitive pick them over the rest of the cast. But overall, I think it's pretty good.
Slips, what are you thinking? Because there's been an outrage about Liu Kang, which I personally think is ridiculous. Saying the character's broken, how he immediately needs to be nerfed. I mean, what are you thinking?
I mean, he's maybe the best in the game, sure. I think there's plenty of characters that can fight, they can compete. I think mid tier kind of. I don't know how far off are the top tier from the mid tiers.
This is so interesting that I'm hearing you saying. You know what word I hear you guys talk about a lot? I think we've all said this. You guys have said this. Can we agree on that? You guys have this thing that more characters can compete in this game. That's what you guys are saying, right?
Yeah.
But they don't, and they fucking haven't. I don't want to hear can. Give me fucking facts. They have not proven to be able to compete, right? We just think they can. Yes or no?
Well, let's look at some recent results. I mean, the patch has not been out for too long. Obviously, as far
I hate that term. Can.
Well,
just wait.
There's been what, three?
Just wait.
There's been three majors.
Any day now. Any day they're gonna start competing.
So Rewind won Celtic Throwdown with Liu Kang. Sonic Fox plays second with Aurora. Dragon got third with Cetrion. Video Game Zio placed with Shao Kahn, and Jax is fourth. Then Foxy used all different characters, which none of the other places you use Kung Lao, Shang Tsung, Sub-Zero. And then Tekken Master, Sonya Blade, Geras, Hayate, Aaron Black, and then we have Dizzy, TT, who used Sonya Blade, Liu Kang, and Cassie Cage.
So
that sounds pretty balanced.
You literally named the same three characters over and over and over again.
Which three characters? What are you talking about?
Aside from Shao Kahn and like Foxy, the characters Foxy used, you named the same three characters over and over and over.
I mean, to be fair, Shao Kahn was barely used in top 8. It was more of Jax.
It was Jax.
From what I see,
used.
It was more of Jax.
My point is, in general, from the dawn of this game, you might see one character sneak up, but for the most part, it's usually the same 5 to 6 characters. And they all have one.
For the most part, yeah.
And they all have one thing. They all have one thing in common: mids.
Really good mids.
Mids.
Well, no, I'm not gonna deny that. Obviously, we talked about this to death. We beat the horse the last time. You already know. The better your mid, I mean, the game is strike throw. The better your mid is, the better your throwing game becomes. Super obvious.
More balanced. I don't know. Maybe.
Could be better. I mean, like any fighting game, it could be better.
I know what people are like. Liu Kang. Oh my god, I can't win online because Liu. Like, are you serious?
Balance on paper doesn't mean anything to me. It doesn't mean anything to me. I don't care what character supposedly in the bottom 5 to 10 can compete consistently. They don't.
It's a big pro to have for a game, the game being balanced, but it's not the basis of what makes a game very enjoyable. I do agree with that.
What do we define as balance?
I think balance to me means any character in the game could win if you put your mind to it. If you have the right player behind a character, you could win a tournament.
Every fucking game I have to hear is balance. Until the next game comes out. Oh, that game was broken. We were just lying.
This is pretty true. I remember during MKX, everybody was saying how balanced it was.
MKX said how balanced it was.
Injustice 2 came out, people were like, damn, MKX was broken.
Slips, you played a lot of fighting games. Normally in a game like Tekken, correct me if I'm wrong, An A tier character means that character is a pretty fucking good character, capable of winning anytime, anywhere. Correct? They're that good. Do we agree?
Right player, yeah.
In MKX, A tier characters were considered pick a better character. You don't play to win.
I think the thing with the MK11 is like I feel like the balance is already figured out. Like we already kind of know the formula. Like,
And
we know that you do have to have that, 9-frame mid or whatever it is.
I mean,
And we know if you don't have that, so the balance is pretty much figured out. And
you need mids.
that's
Period.
what's
You need
disappointing
mids.
about it.
You need mids. You
already
need
know.
mids. I mean,
Like Scorpion just can go flying up all the option selects and everything. Like Scorpion isn't going to get up any higher or anything like that. Like bottom line is you need that mid.
you need mids. There's no fighting game out there where a character is going to be competitive with no mids. I mean,
Well, that's. I mean, for this game especially, again, and we're gonna get into another topic that kind of elaborates more of this. But the simple fact is that's not a necessarily a balance problem. That's the game is bland problem. I mean, it's just the entire game is throw and a mid.
well, look, and let me just look. Again, I'm not here to say the game is bad in any way, shape, or form. I think the way it's made is good. It's good for what it does. What people think it is not what it is. To me, what makes the game bland is a couple of things. The variation system is a huge problem and it needs to go and never come back. I understand the purpose of it. It's supposed to be this cool feature to really, it's supposed to be NRS's answer to counter picking, I guess, and trying to give, I guess, what we consider to be the character loyalist some extra tools. Like, your one variation gets beat up bad, but this variation is going to give you a better chance. In this game, even more so than MKX, variation doesn't matter. Your character wins or loses regardless of the variation. And the second variation will lose just as bad as the first for the same reason. So it's completely worthless in what it was supposed to do. But here's
Yeah, I do see that as a common theme. Like someone will lose a character instead of them going like, okay, let me switch variation. They'll just switch a character.
And the next thing is, so you're splitting a character in two, which gives you less depth. Again, think of MK9. One variation of Kung Lao has a low hat. One variation has a teleport. You would have a character that can do absolutely fucking nothing in either variation, and everybody would go to sleep watching it. Split them in two. Takes away a lot of the depth. Then you have some characters who can literally do what both variations do in one. So I guess they're a little more complete. But the variation system is a huge problem. The next thing is Scorpion and Sub-Zero, for example. You removed Flame Aura, Hellfire, stuff Scorpion's had for years.
Scorpion doesn't even have his leg takedown.
And you gave him nothing. Teleport fake. You gave him nothing. Anything cool that's new that you could have given him, it's custom only, my friend. I'm sorry, you can't pick that up. So this game was advertised. This is correct me if I'm wrong, a timeline game, right? It's a game about timelines.
Yep.
And it was not advertised that you're going to have different versions of your character throughout the timeline, correct?
Yep.
How the fuck do you have a Sub-Zero with no ice clone, no ground freeze, no ice shower? What fucking timeline? What fucking timeline is he from? What timeline?
I don't know. That's a good question.
What timeline?
Can we also talk about how it was advertised to be a neutral footsie game?
Hold on,
Get
I'm
that out of the way
not
also?
even done. I'm not even done. Okay, cool. You give it. They got new moves though, right? Yeah, like Sub-Zero would have like his what has he got? He's got his from the ground shower move that launches. That could be kind of cool. He's got this like little stomp ice move that could be kind of cool. He's got this ice trap kind of move that might be kind of cool. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't fucking use those because It's only for custom variation. Scorpion's got that misery blade that everybody used in the beta, and they're like, this is kind of cool. He's a new character. Bad news, bruh. That misery blade is nothing but that misery because it's only in custom. So you don't get to use it.
I was so disappointed when that was not part of the tournament.
I mean, what is this?
Well,
What?
hold on, let me
I don't know why customs aren't allowed. They should have been allowed from the get
let
go.
me just say this real quick because you bring a lot of issues. Because playing to win made a huge run, test your mind, and kind of blew up, addressing a lot of the issues that you are mentioning right now. And honestly, like for me, you're not gonna get a disagreement. I think honestly, 80, unless you're Crimson Shadow who sucks up to the ass all the time, and I'm hearing the same thing from Ultra David. Like most people agree this is an issue. Like what people want is no more variations, or since we're stuck with them, people want to customize their moves. They want to use the character that, as Tom says, the way the game was advertised. You know, you can pick your own moves and, you know, design your own character, you know, more or less. And they're gonna add a third variation for what? Nobody's gonna care. Like it's
I
completely
mean, hold on.
pointless.
A timeline variation. What timeline does Johnny Cage throw fucking shades at you or have a camera? What timeline?
I just want to say this: the whole variation thing. You know how they're gonna add a new variation to every character. Like the issue with this is this, and I don't know if this is how it is for your guys' character, but for my character, Aaron Black, he already has his best custom variation, which is the variation that has Scud Shot, his enhanced lock and loaded, and his gunslinger ammo shots. They're not gonna make anything with his custom moves because I messed around with custom a bit. None of the other moves that he has in combination are gonna be better than his 52 card pickup. So when they say, "Oh, we're gonna introduce a third or fourth variation," me as a competitive Aaron Black player, that means nothing to me because I would still use 52 card pickup. It's still gonna overall be the best one, no matter what kind of combination
Can't
they
you
do.
add the command throw in there somewhere, or like to the?
No, but here's the thing, Dave. I'm not talking about them making 52 card pickup again, but with the command throw. They're not gonna do that. They're gonna use the other moves that aren't used yet for currently, right? So any kind of thing that they're able to compile together out of the unused moves currently that Aaron Black has, none of them is going to be better than 52 card pickup.
I agree with you. Let me just add this real quick. Like that's the same with Shang Tsung. Why would I use anything other than ground eruption? Do you guys think I'm stupid? Like,
See, if this is a common theme for a lot of characters right now, where the rest of the moves you have left, if none of them can be combined to be better than what you currently have, that's bad. Because that means a lot of characters are not really going to be using.
Let me give you the next thing. This nonsense that it's a footsie game. This is one of the worst footsie games ever created in history.
oh my god. I don't know.
Okay, I think that's a blow up.
In fact, let me just say this.
That's
most players today don't even know what footsies are. And if you ever put them in a real footsie game that's older, they would lose and then say, oh, the game is broken. You play broken games back then. Because this is an excuse. Just all they do is make excuses for everything.
I do want to say, I wish NRS never made that statement that MK11 was going to be about
MK11
neutral and this and that. That was a big mistake.
MK11 is fine for what it is. But I've never seen a footsie game where 99% of the match you're spent nose to nose doing down one, down threes, and throws.
Or the constant jumping is very difficult to stop.
The reason why it's not a footsie game,
and the half screen fatal blows at almost
fatal blows and jumping is a huge problem. So normally in the footsie game, everything requires reach. I hate when somebody acts like someone's mic is echoing, by the way. But like I hate when someone acts like having to make a read or a guess makes a game scrubby. That's part of everything. Knowing what the person is going to do is just part of what makes you a smarter fighting game player. In footsies, there's a ton of reads going on. It's not just why can't I just outspace you and see everything and react to it? Because if that was the case, everybody would be good at fighting games. King Hippo would be out there winning tournaments. I mean, like, so.
Oh my god!
And I had to call out because he made a comment on P2W's thread that I'm gonna call out later. But the whole fact of the matter is, in a footsie game, jumping, approaching, going in and out, that's all making reads, and it's all based on like, you know, what you think your opponent is looking out for. In other words, if you think your opponent, even in a game that has really good anti-airs, if you are anticipating your opponent walking up to you or dashing up to you, whatever he's going to do, and he jumps, and instead you're kind of caught off guard because you're expecting something else. You're looking for something else. So you can still jump even in a game with good anti-airs if you're really making really good reads. The problem is in this game, because anti-airs are so poor, once you get in that range and you say, okay, you know what? He's not going to do anything. He's going to let me walk in and do what I want. As soon as you even move forward, jump, hold up, jump forward. That's what they always do. The minute you even come close to breathing next to somebody, up, 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 up. And even if you do anti-air them a couple of times, it doesn't matter. Because as Rio's numbers have shown, more times than not, they believe their jump kicks will get blocked or connect more than they get anti-aired. If you anti-air them to them, that was an aberration. Won't happen again.
The best way to anti-air is to actually flawless block launch them.
Yeah.
You have to use the best defensive move in the game.
And I saw Foxy
jumping.
flawless block a jump in and tried to up two with Shang, and the up two whiffed. So
Yeah, that happens with Aaron Black.
Yeah.
That's why I don't do
Oh,
that.
yeah.
I mean,
With Aaron Black, if you try to flawless block a jump in and up two, it just whiffs because it has a shitty hitbox and it's on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, Shang Tsung's as well.
So you have to flawless block up three them, and you do the 8%, and they don't care about that. They rather get you off your resource and then jump again.
yeah.
It's a very, very different meta. See, it's not that, like, a game doesn't have to be about footsies and neutral to be considered good. It's just, I don't like the fact that NRS stated that this game was specifically going to be heavy on neutral and footsies, because it's not really that. But I will say, it's definitely more neutral heavy than Mortal Kombat X was.
It
for
is
sure.
more neutral heavy than MKX, but the point is, jump kicks are really, really strong. And I don't want to rehash the same point, but it's not really a footsie or neutral based game.
Which again is not an issue. I don't want people to think,
No.
oh, the game isn't like pure footsie or neutral means we're saying it's bad.
No,
I don't know why people always make that comparison. When someone says something isn't really footsie or neutral based, it means you're saying it's bad. We're not saying that.
no. And it works fine for what it is.
As some characters do play the neutral and footsie game better than others. They make you play that way. You know, the characters that actually have functioning anti-airs that work, they do play like that. But for most of the cast that has to deal with a lot of the sloppy jumping, it doesn't emulate this heavy neutral footsie game that NRS promised in one of their statements.
I mean, I think you guys bring up very, very good points. It's just, for me, the jumping isn't even the top 5 in the, my complaint list. It's the variations to the fatal blows, all-
The hitboxes.
yeah, oh my god, could I forget about the hitboxes? Still don't function properly after like what? How many years? 5, 6 years? It was still, Johnny Cage still can't.
5-6 years, Dave. You mean MK9 came out in what, 2011?
Did it?
Almost 9
Yeah,
years,
yeah,
man.
9 years,
Where
so-
we've had hitbox issues.
Yeah, so
Been
don't know,
almost a
like, how
decade.
that, especially the hitbox issue. I don't know why that's not being addressed. And again, it's not even about the characters that I'm using.
Here's the reasons why I don't think the hitboxes are being addressed. Because one, they're in a rush to make a game. They don't have all the time to spend on them. They have to bust out a game every year and a half, which is kind of insane. Two, I don't think they have like a dedicated person or small group of people that are just specifically looking for hitboxes. Like if they had someone there that could sit and go through every character's string, certain attack or string on every other single character, crouch blocking and in the corner and so on, then they would have someone to be like, hey, this is not working here, this isn't working here. It's someone who can post all the information and they could do something. But I just don't think they have like one person or a small group dedicated to looking for hitboxes and shit, which is why a lot of shit like that gets passed through on the final build on release.
They clearly don't have like a dedicated Johnny Cage player playing against a dedicated like Liu Kang player or whatever.
But Dizzy works for
It's
them.
like some of the hitbox issues are like issues with their core moves. It's like this is like their main mid or this is their like main string L characters, and then it doesn't work at all on these characters or what have you. And it's just like, man, like this is like one of their main tools, and it doesn't work on some of the cast. Like who was playing with this character that didn't know?
Yeah. I would love for MK12 next game that they have just one or like a few people that can just go through every character, go through every single string, normal, and just do it in every character, crouch blocking or crouching or even stand blocking, and make sure everything works properly, just so they can
But
get that out of the way.
Remember how Johnny Cage was able to neutral crouch Gears' forward 2-1 pre-patch. They fixed that, but they didn't fix some of the other stuff, like
Like I said, dude, they're probably on a time constraint. Like they have to try and cram as much as they can in a patch, but they have to send it out quick, so they just didn't get to everything.
yeah, I can see how that's true. I'm just
Because,
saying,
dude, there's a lot of hitbox issues, man. Like my character alone, just Aaron Black, not even talking about other characters. My character has like 8 different hitbox issues on half of his moves. And that's not even counting what every other character has.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
I know it's a big issue, and I mention it constantly on social media, and especially Test Your Might. So, I mean, they do know about it. The community has spoken about it. The community has complained about it. The community has, brought it to their attention numerous times. They just haven't fixed it yet. I don't know what else to say about it. It's, it's kind of, what else can you do, really? Like, I don't know. But I mean, what do you, considering the game the way it is right now, what do you guys want to see? I mean, as far as, and you have to be reasonable. You can't say, remove fatal blows or anything
Let
like.
customs be tournament viable. Unlock them. Or my dream would be this. I know this will never happen.
Then you
But
can't
my
say,
dream.
we need stuff we need construction.
Okay, but my dream for MK11 would just be allow every character to have all their custom moves in their character. So meaning when you choose a character, you have every single custom move at the same time with all your moves. That would be my dream
Well,
for
that's not
MK11.
gonna happen. We need.
Well, if it did happen, I think MK11 would be amazing. And yeah, it could be a little broken here and there, but Jay could release, a balance patch after a while and fix some of the things that need to be addressed. But I don't think this game is going to be anywhere near as absurd as like a game like MKX was, even with all the with every character having all their moves available.
I mean, was MKX at the end very that bad? I would argue it wasn't. Like, it was definitely at the beginning. It was.
No, but when I say MKX, I'm talking about the whole picture of the entire game
Yeah, and I'm
when it
saying
was
the
out.
last version of MKX,
It
honestly,
was pretty reasonable. I mean,
Yeah.
it had some silly shit,
yeah,
but it was
did.
pretty reasonable.
Yeah, it was pretty reasonable.
I don't even
I
think this
was-
game, if you gave every character all their customs at the same time, would even be as broken as last patch MKX. Yeah, there's some silly custom moves like Frost's air slide, which is super scrubby, but for the most part, I don't think it'd be as bad as people are making it seem. People are acting like we're gonna have everybody's gonna be like pre-patch Alien and Tanya on crack. Yeah, I don't think it would be that way.
Well, we really don't know because it has not been really tested, and obviously most people don't play, the all
To
variations.
wrap your
So
head around.
yeah, it just
Interesting.
it's
It's just
not.
like,
Go ahead.
if I had Misery Blade and fake teleport and
That already sounds fun, Slips. You didn't have to say anymore. That already sounds like a fun character to play. Just alone having Misery Blade and the fake teleports. That sounds like maybe I would give Scorpion a try.
be nice.
Well, that's not gonna happen. Consider aren't both moves 2 slots, so it's.
Yeah, but I'm saying if they got rid of the whole slot shit and just when you chose a character, you just have all their moves available at the same time. I think that would be awesome for the
I
game.
think the way that they have implemented the customization system is fine. Some moves cost 2, are 2 slots for a reason because they're better. But
Yeah, but but the point I brought up earlier is why this isn't good because, like I said, whatever future variation that they create for Aaron
Yeah.
Black, it's not going to be better
No,
52
no,
card
I-
pickup.
I-
They
I-
either need to
yeah.
remake 52 card pickup, which again is not going to happen because they already rebalanced cut shot and everything specifically for that loadout. So that's not going to happen. So any future variation Aaron Black is going to get, whether it's third variation, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, they're not going to be better in 52 card pickup. I'm still going to be playing 52 card pickup
No,
over the other one.
not.
Maybe
yeah.
there may be a few obscure matchups. I may tend to use one other variation over this one, but for the majority of my Aaron Black games, I'm going to be playing the best variation, which is 52 card pickup.
Well,
That's the issue here.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you. Dude. I use Shang Tsung. I know what my best move is. I'm not disagreeing with you. It's just, and again, why would I use any other move over Ground Eruption? It's clearly Shang Tsung's best move. So why would I, dude? Look at this other variation. It's completely worthless. Sonify
Yeah.
picked it by accident, according to his Twitter. A Celtic Throwdown, and you get demolished. So it's the variation system just doesn't work. It's a broken system. It's not functional, and need to remove it in the future MK games. That's really, I think, what people want. But for what is not for what's ideal, but what can be fixed right now, I think probably allow the customizable variations and kind of see what happens.
Yeah.
A lot of those moves are already, some of them are 2 slots, the better ones, and And I just people go, well,
See, the whole slot thing is also an issue because again, not to go back to Aaron Black, so I feel like I'm revolving everything around Aaron Black, but
It's
he's the
okay.
character I mainly
Yeah,
play.
yeah.
He has a custom move called Bear Trap, right? I understand why it's costs 2 slots because the move would be too good if it costs 1 slot, but as it is right now, it costing 2 slots it's a pretty bad move. The Bear Trap costing 2 slots is pretty horrible, but they can't make it 1 slot because the way that they have the whole point system design is it would be too stupid. So you're kind of left over with moves like that, which are you don't know what to do with them. Like they're 2 slots, yeah, they're probably not really ever going to be used. But if you make them 1 slot, they'd be too broken.
That's why it would be so fun if they just unlocked it all, and then maybe that bear trap thing isn't that good as a 2-slotter, but maybe there's a 1-slotter that it does have good synergy with, and you're just like, oh, maybe.
Exactly, yeah. They need to expand like this whole just generic point system. It's not enough.
Go through the discovery of that, yeah.
I mean, I would, as a designer or developer, I would be upset because if I were a designer, I'm thinking to myself, I've put in hours and hours of my time designing these moves, and I can't even observe, what creativity high level players can come up with because they can never use it. I mean, wouldn't you guys be
It
upset?
sucks. Yeah, I mean, if you spend someone animating all these moves, creating a frame data for them, the properties, you never see them used in competitive gameplay. That's pretty sad.
But nonetheless, they're gonna introduce these third variations. I don't maybe for a handful at most, it's gonna make a difference, but for most others,
It's definitely going to help some characters.
I know. I'm
like
sure.
the third variation, like we're supposed to be hyped for that.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
you're
I'm not because again, I play Iron Black, so I have nothing to look forward to.
Now
But
getting
you may be hype as a Katana player or a Jade player or something. I'm not sure.
I don't think I'll tell. Let me tell you, it will not make a difference for Katana. I don't think it will. I don't think it will make a difference.
Is she kind of like Aaron Black, where she already has her best shit into one
Well,
variation?
Raze is already good. They just have to fix, the player 2 bullshit, and because Razes are, I believe, 2 slots. I could be wrong about that. And then no, it's the other thing, the teleport, the dive kicks, everything from that.
See, damn man, this is hard because I feel like they should have.
I know that's why
It's too late for them to remake every variation and
it's not gonna make a
think it
difference.
out properly. It's too late for that.
Same thing with Scorpion. So teleport cancel is 2 slots if I remember correctly. So
Yeah.
that's one of your best things. So what else can you?
I would say like Misery Blade, but I heard like but now to cancel Misery Blade, it takes a bar, so it's just
Yeah.
like the fake teleport's probably gonna end up being the best anyway.
Exactly, it's better. It's better than better than.
I'm like not even really hyped for it, really, because they've already nerfed the crap out of it,
So yeah,
and it
I
wasn't
mean,
even that great to begin with. So it's just like, wow.
Tom, would it make a difference for Sub-Zero? I don't know what he has and how many slots his moves cost. Tom, you there?
It doesn't matter, man. Custom is not the answer. Just
I know, but
complete.
in your opinion, what's the real? Dude, we can all talk. What would be the ideal? But we have to be reasonable here. They're not going to overhaul the damn game. Like, that's just not going to happen. What are you thinking is the most likely scenario that that they can fix some of the stuff or put the stuff that we want in the game?
I think
I don't know.
they're not going to though. That's the thing. That's what sucks. They already told us they're gonna give us a third variation. Like we're supposed to get for it. It sucks because it's like it's telling you that they're gonna get pizza tonight, and then it ends up being like a Tostino's frozen pizza, and you're just like,
That's horrible.
like, oh, I was at least hoping for some Domino's. That's what I was thinking.
You know what they could do actually. Now
It
that I
actually
think
would
about
piss
it,
me off more that you got me hyped for pizza, and then it's just shitty Tostino's.
they give you the shitty Scorpion load after your
actually
third
mad
variation.
at
It's
my-
worse
I
than the
would
2 ones you
actually
had.
be that's what I'm saying. It's like I'm actually more mad at they're like, oh, we're gonna give you a third variation. It's more like, oh yeah, thanks. I'm so excited and I'm getting a boner just thinking about nerfing Misery Blade, and it's gonna be great.
Okay, I have this idea, which I think could work if they do this, but this is something they would have to really do. What if they give us the new third, fourth variations, but along with them giving us a third or fourth variation, they give it some balance adjustments to either make it better or worse, depending what they're doing.
That would-
So, for example, if they were to give me Aaron Black's Bear Trap variation with whatever shit movie he has attached to it, but they buff the Bear Trap to not be as shit, then I could see that changing things. If they do that, that would be a game changer. If they give us new third, fourth variations, but instead of them leaving the way that they currently are without changing the move properties, they give them like a buff or something, depending on the character, that could definitely change some stuff.
I mean, that's literally giving them as much leeway as you possibly can think of with the third.
Yeah, but that's the way I'm thinking that this is going to be something that's going to help the game. Because from what I'm hearing, it's not really only Aaron Black. A lot of characters have this issue where they're not looking forward to third or fourth variations with their unused slots currently because
Right.
they already have their best custom.
That's right.
My
I
issue,
mean, their best
Yeah,
current
that's-
move,
yeah,
their
that's
preset.
right, really.
my issue is I need better mids and anti-air, and better.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get bad hitter anti-airs. That I already have that crossed off my wish list.
So, like a third variation isn't gonna solve the problems that I have with Scorpion. So that's why
Slips, do you remember
anything.
during MKX when they buffed the anti-airs 4 times, and at the end of the game's life, you still couldn't down 2 anti-air people? Not even joking. You guys can go back read the patch notes. Down 2s in MKX got buffed
Oh,
3-4 times over the game's life, and they still didn't work at the end of the time.
The
So
air
the
normal
whole anti-air
is so
thing,
silly.
I had that crossed off my wish list. I'm not even looking forward to better anti-airs. I don't think it's gonna happen. And I've already accepted it.
They did do an anti-air buff in Injustice 1, and that was pretty significant.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah,
think the
that
air
one was good, but the
normal
one in MKX though was not good.
X were just out of control. They were out of control.
Because I remember they buffed Aaron Black's down 2 in MKX like 3 times, and you still cannot even anti-air a Melina jump 1-ing you, even if you're sitting there waiting for it.
I mean, NRS games, like DPs. Is there any other 2D game that doesn't have like an invincible anti-air? Maybe SNK game? I'm not sure on SNK games.
I don't know.
I think they do, don't they? I know they have DP. But...
Shit, even Smash Brothers has invincibility on the upward moves. Can you believe that?
Yeah, like most 2D games.
Like Smash Melee, Mart's up B, Peach's up B, Samus up B. They all have invincibility to like so you can go through air attacks.
Like Mortal Kombat.
Guilty
is
Gear has it. Like
one
a
of the
bunch
only
of
games that doesn't
2D
have
games having. You have to remember the main component of a 2D game is jumping because there's no sidestepping. So there has to be a way to be able to read a jump in and counter it or stop it to some degree. You know what's so odd? I want to bring this up even though it's going to suck because it's MK9. You know what's so weird? I just realized MK9 had invincible to air attacks only specific moves that they coded. Where did those people go? Do you guys remember? Shiva's anti-air throw, Cyrix's anti-air throw, Jax, they all have specific invincibility frames to air attacks. I just realized that.
They had that.
How did we forget this?
They had that in Ninja. The air
Yeah, they had it for Injustice 1 too, right? Doomsday and stuff. What happened to that? They completely scrapped that when MKX hit.
What about
Jason's anti-air throw and shit.
Anti-air grab.
No, Kodals didn't have invincibility. It would get beat out. But if you go to MK9 right now and pop it in and do a jump kick to Cyrax or Sonya dive kick or whatever, the air grab will always win because whatever they did during MK9, they specifically coded it for those anti-air moves. Like the move specifically in the move list is called anti-air. It has priority over jump attacks. I don't know if those people forgot what they did, but we need those properties back.
Nice.
I can't believe no one... Dude, I just totally forgot about that because it's been so long since I actually talked about an anti-air. Yeah, you're right. They used to have that in MK9 and Injustice 1. The anti-air throws would have invincibility towards air attacks.
Yeah, they were good.
Maybe they forgot about it, or they accidentally did something and never looked back to be like, oh shit, we don't have invincibility to air attacks on our moves now?
Was there like sympathy for the person jumping? Like, oh, they're getting anti-air grabbed. We got to take that away. That that anti-air.
It's weird because MK9 Cyrix air throw, and then you look at it back because Cyrix was back in MKX. His air throw was garbage in MKX. It didn't anti-air. It was slowed down. It was horrible. Couldn't even use it as an anti-air, even though the move's called anti-air. It's kind of crazy.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. But let's just switch gears and let me ask you guys about, and hopefully you've tried this on your own. I don't know whether you have or not, because I know I have. This option select, discovered by Raptor, that allows you to certain strings only to come out on hit. Certain, the same string stops on blocks, you don't get punished. Now, honestly, I've tried it with Shang Tsung's back 3 up 4, and I couldn't get it to work. I think if it works, it's hard. It's very, very difficult. I know there might be some, Sub-Zero stuff like the overhead kick. I mean, Tom, have you tried this stuff? And if so, is it reliable? Does it work?
The option select?
Yeah.
No, I haven't tried it. I'm not sure how reliable it is. I can't speak. I haven't tried it enough to really know.
Because people say that it's been in that NRS game since like MK9. I don't know whether
Yeah, it has.
I don't know.
The thing is, in MK9, it was harder to do, and a lot of people just were like, "Fuck it," because in MK9, I don't know if you guys remember, but a lot of the strings they wouldn't have all this delay to it. They would be like, you would do a string, and it would be like super quick, like 1 2 3, 1 2 3. But in the newer games now, the strings are like 1 2 3, like there's like delay to them. So in MK9, people didn't bother with them because the strings are so quick. You know.
There's no difference between hit stun and block stun back then.
Yeah, that too. There was no block stop.
Dude.
Right now in the current NRS games, there's like 1 frame of block stop.
Yeah.
So has this?
So it's a combination of two. It's a combination of the newer games having a frame of block stop, and the strings having more delay to them. So there's more time between strings to do shit.
No, because people in the community, freaking out. Oh, this is gonna break the game, but apparently,
I mean, if you could master for a couple characters, it would definitely make it better. But I don't think it's that big of a deal that NRS needs to immediately address it with like a patch or something. It's definitely a game changer for a couple characters though. Like making unsafe shit. Like if you're able to pull it off a noob with his back one,
yeah.
then that's a big deal, obviously. That's a huge deal. But I don't know if it should immediately be addressed.
Well, all I know is
It's something you have to wait and see how it turns out. Like in a year from now, if everybody's just doing their 2 hitting safe strings and everything's auto going into a combo and on block and nothing's coming out, then yeah, that would be kind of toxic for the game because then the game doesn't become about reads and mind games. It becomes this automated process of people just doing this shit, this OS and everything.
I mean, you could say that for Street Fighter 4, and Street Fighter 4 is considered one of the best fighting games of all time. The OS is what saved Street Fighter 4. Street Fighter 4, the gate, like kind of like what the fuck, because it was like a turtle fest. Because the very first option like that was found was crouching short option select to break throws, and no one could open anyone up. And whoever got the life lead ended up winning because no one understood how to open anyone up in the damn game because of the option select to break throws. And then people started finding other option selects like the duck jab into the roundhouse, and then the like DP on, or like a safe jump DPs, stuff like that. So save that game. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's something that should be embraced, and people should really start looking into it to help make maybe some characters that maybe are just considered mid tier.
Just to touch on that, but were the OSs in that game to the point where they were extreme, like, oh, on hit you get an auto combo and then on block nothing comes out? Was it like that, or was it just a way to deal with like certain dicey situations?
It was used a lot on wake up. Like you would knock someone down and then you do a safe jump, and if they did a wake up reversal, you could option select your own dragon punch or invincible attack, so yours would beat theirs, and if they didn't do anything, be in a frame trap because you would just block a jump in.
Okay, so it's kind of similar to what's in MK11 currently right now, the whole wake up thing. Because some characters, I'll use your character as an example. Scorpion can knock somebody down and do like a meaty 4-3, and if they quick rise, get up, or do anything wake up, you could do 4-3 fake teleport, and if it'll contact them, and then you'll get to cancel. But if they don't do anything, their 4-3 will whiff, and you'll still be at an advantage as they're delaying, like stuff like that. A couple characters have shit like that.
Yeah. There's a
So I think stuff like that's fine for a game because it's kind of involves like a technical process, but as long as it's not too automated where the entire game is just OS versus OS instead of reads and mind games.
You can't just always do that either because
there's ways to blow stuff like that up.
Like you can do like 4-3 and use the OS.
You can't do that against Raiden because if you do the OS against Raiden, I know for a specific example, he could do his wake up fatal blow, which is kind of rare. But if he does do it when you do that, his fatal blow hits on both sides, so it would blow up your 4-3, and you can't cancel it to be safe. Because if you teleport behind him, you're still getting hit. So there's definitely some ways to stop it with certain characters.
Like the other thing is just like you just become super predictable. Like if I do 4-3 option select every time, then everyone knows that after I do 4-3, there's not going to be a threat. Like I'm not going to be doing 4-3-4 as much. I'm not going to be doing 4-3-2. If I have Searing Rage, like always just do the option select. You gotta because there's MK's got layered offense, right? You can't just go to the first layer of hit throw and then stop and then let them have their turn. Like
Yeah, you got to mix it up.
definitely,
You got to always enforce some kind of mind games.
yeah. Like you can't just OSs. Like you have to prioritize which OS you want to use at any given time. Because there's a lot of OS.
Yeah, that's very true.
I think it's good. I think it's good for the game. I think people should embrace it. I don't think it should be patched at all. Like I said, Street Fighter 4, it saved the game.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
we'll
so I
see.
think, I
Yeah.
think like what Rio said, like we should let it rock and see how it ends up looking.
Yeah, I think that's probably the right call. But before we move on to the last topic, let me just ask: is there anything else MK11 rated that you guys want to rant? Tom, I thought you had something about um,
I mean,
playing to win's thread that you wanted to add.
I read his thread about the balance, and I mean, like I said, balance. I mean, for what the game is, a lot of characters can do what the game is. The game is very much an up close strike throw kind of thing, and I think it's kind of dumb when you have characters that have two crushing blows for either action. That's dumb in a game like that. That's the opposite of balance. But in any event, I digress. So I think it's overall on what it does. It's pretty balanced. Not balanced as what is supposed to be a footsie game, but for what it actually is, it's good enough, I guess. But I see. And I always hate this argument because I just think it's dumb. I think it's one of the dumbest things ever. You know, I don't like going by Evo numbers because Evo numbers really only apply to Evo. You can't apply that to any other tournament. So it applies to one tournament every 2 years where you can look at it and say, see those numbers. Because the next tournament, we usually lose 1,000 players. So one tournament every 2 years we can point to and say, look at these numbers. Next thing is they don't translate. Next tournament after Evo doesn't even have 1% of those people. Well, maybe it doesn't even have 5% of those people. So when you lose that much, you realize it doesn't really translate to other tournaments. So I don't like that argument, but I have so much respect for players that play today. They're very good players. They definitely have mastered all their craft. But this nonsense, whenever somebody brings up like, oh, I felt that they were, you know, I don't know, I don't want to say rivalries, but they felt the top player to casual player ratio in tournament was a little higher back then. Someone always shows up and says, you know, MK9 this, MK9 that. You know, Sonic Fox is the best player we have in the community. He's an amazing talent, one of the best to ever play. But this guy he still can't even lace Kerbalicious' boots. Couldn't beat him when the game was out. Couldn't beat it when the game was out for a while. They held a tournament in 2018. They thought for sure Sonic was going to win that. Still couldn't beat him. I mean, come on, man. You know, your best player today, not then, and not ever if that game was out. And it's not a knock because he's an amazing player. But this thing of when people always say, well, everybody was so bad back then to take any player from today, I'm tired of hearing it. Take somebody from today, give them Cabal, and you have them come see me. And not only would it be, you know, a good set, it would be more entertaining and people would look forward to watching that more than the actual MK11 tournament. Slips did a podcast with King Hippo in which after the hype around Combo Breaker for MK9 was so much higher than that of Injustice 2. Do you remember, Slips? The MK9 tournament at Combo Breaker was so much more well received than the Injustice 2 tournament. I don't know if you remember. And
I remember that.
And your partner's thing was, I hope they never would MK9 because it could hurt Injustice. Do you realize a game that came out in 2011 would bury the current game, at least in as far as fanfare? It wouldn't have the money in it but it would have just as many entrants. You can't make a game based around money.
Can we talk about how many disadvantages MK9 had when the game was out?
Saying MK9 had a ton of disadvantages. Bad net
Dude, the
code.
game had no online.
Bad net
The
code.
game had no pop bonuses anywhere.
Yeah, no pop bonuses, no online.
The game only got patched twice. Like, it was done getting patched right after the first Evo, and then that was it. The game was
Horrible
stuck in Windows
training
forever.
Horrible training.
Oh, shit training mode. It had like the most disadvantages I've ever seen for a fighting game, and
Slips,
somehow
between me
it
and
would
you,
still get 100 people at majors.
Slips between me and you. It had a horrible training mode, but there was still more tech you could find 2 years into that game than today.
Well, that's because of lack of information.
That's true, but again,
That
I
game
don't-
lasted longer because it took so long because we didn't have frame data.
God,
Thank
don't even bring that. That was
And we
Yeah,
found
remember
out
when we were
frame
celebrating when Somers released the
Depending on
Jax frame
stand
data?
blocking and duck blocking and stuff.
yeah, that was dumb. But I mean, this notion that, I mean, again, I don't know. This notion that everybody was so bad and take anyone from today and put them back then, and we'll see what really would happen. It wouldn't matter.
That what if scenario is so stupid.
I'm
because
tired-
It's always relative to the time you're
And
competing.
I'm tired of hearing that what if scenario. We took a player from today, the best player, and we put him in that game, and he lost.
And when was this? 2018 Injustice 2?
Oh,
The
you know,
MK9
he doesn't.
That was pretty recent. That was 7 years after the game came out.
Oh, you know, Curb Religious. He trains nonstop religiously. Yeah, I got you.
I don't even know what's the point of saying
I-
shit like
I
that.
got
Like
you.
it's a given, isn't it? Every following 5 years, the competition gets stronger, right? That's like saying,
It's
2024.
evolution.
Yeah, it's like saying
evolution.
oh, the competition in 2024 is going to be way better than it is today.
I mean, your
We understand
your
that.
Tools are
And then it's like when 2024 comes, it's like people say, yeah, the competition back 2019, it was shit.
Yeah,
It's so
I
much
mean,
better
the-
today. And then you keep doing the same
your
thing every
tool-
5-10
your
years.
Tools are always going to be better. The tools to train are always
Yeah,
going to be
and
better. And
And video games are getting bigger as a whole, which is why tournaments are
gaming is
getting
getting
bigger.
bigger as a whole. The tools you use to train are only going to get better. So
Like,
It's-
should the people not compete right now at this moment because the competition in 2029 is going to be better and people won't give a shit about the results currently today?
I hate that argument. It's such a dumb argument. It's
It's a meaningless, stupid
it's-
argument. It's just to put people down for no reason.
it's so dumb to say what somebody woulda, coulda, shoulda done if, and there's no fact on it. And and I tell you right now, nobody has the balls to take anybody from today and put some money on the line against somebody that was top back then. And you know it slips. Period. Because
It's
it would
interesting and I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm not trying to cut you off.
because everybody knows this. If somebody actually had some balls to put some money up and say so and so from today versus so and so back then in that game, and they lost, it would destroy their entire narrative. So it'll never happen, even though it would be really hype. You know, and I mean, I don't even see why I don't even see why this shit gets even brought up. You know,
I think it's interesting in Tekken that the strongest players now are players that don't even use online or use the internet. Like the
How's that
Pakistan
possible?
people, people from Pakistan, like Arslan Ash and all them. Arslan Ash won
true.
World Tour, Tekken World Tours or whatever it is, back to back, first time ever. Or no, they won back to back Evos.
Yeah.
Evo in
Japan.
America and Japan.
Yeah,
First,
Japan.
never plays online. And then they, you see the Koreans go to South America. They have no online. All they do is play Tekken Tag 1, and then they're tearing up the Koreans too.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that I
You see,
I think
have
the
you
whole
ever
thing,
heard-
like, oh, like players now, they have the internet, they have all the information now. The practice modes are better. The players are so much better. It's like, well, then why aren't they doing better against these countries that don't even have online?
See, this reminds me of, have you ever heard that old saying, you're only as good as your competition?
Right.
So the people in those areas, they may not have internet, whatever, but the people that they're playing are very good players. And when you have two very good players continuously play against each other, and then you give birth to other very good players that keep playing, and you have this group of very strong players, and then more gets added to it, and it grows.
Yeah.
You have this very competitive group that is just good as
hold on,
hell.
Let me just say this: most people that are in this playing to win made, they don't understand this, and I say this in no disrespect. And people can say whatever they want. People have no idea what it takes to dominate at the highest level. You know, say whatever you want about me. It doesn't count. Fine. But it doesn't happen. I lived it for 20-something years. It's hard. To dominate the way Sonic, Deoxys, Dragon does, it's hard. And none of the people who's giving their opinion here will ever know about that. Least of all Crimson Shadow. You're right.
I know, and
I love Crimson Shadow, and you can say what I did didn't count, but I can't say what you didn't count because you don't have anything for me to say it about. You know, and look, and look how many people have come along. Remember Injustice 1? Guys like Jupiter, that's the future. Where is he now? He's trash. Can't beat anybody. But Jupiter was at Summer Jam, right? Was he in top 8? I was.
Yeah, when I went on my run in Tekken Tag and in Tekken in general, it was mainly because I was the people that I was playing with, offline. Like they're the ones that.
The bottom line is even great players like that we had, like Jupiter, right? If you don't love the game, just because you might win some money isn't always enough motivation to grind and stay on top. It's not that these players couldn't keep dominating, but it's like to do what Sonic is doing, Deoxys, Dragon, Tweety, etc. It's hard because the work you have to put in is so much, just the nonstop grind of it. It's hard. And if you don't love it, it's hard to keep doing it. To say, oh, the game is more alive than ever, when not one of them would leave their home if there wasn't a pot bonus tournament, is contradictory. You don't love it. You don't love it.
No one's doing this for the money. Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing it for the money now.
Well, if they are doing, yeah, I agree. If they're saying it for the money, then that's not really if they're saying they're doing it for the money, then they're not winning. And if they are winning and they're saying that they're doing it for the money, they're not really doing it.
But put it this way: nobody travels without a pot bonus. Why?
Because it's expensive to travel.
Okay, is that something new, or has it always been expensive to travel?
Nope, it's always been expensive to travel.
Okay, my point is,
just we've kind of been conditioned with pot bonuses now.
Nobody says no other competitive thing is like that. Oh man, I got to get gas in my car, man, and go to the basketball courts and play basketball. People do it anyway. Do you know why? Because they fucking love to play basketball. They don't play basketball for the money because they're going to the fucking NBA. Thanksgiving's coming up. Around the whole country, there's going to be Turkey Bowl games. Why? Because they think pro scouts are going to be there to go to the fucking NFL? No. People love the game. They don't say, oh, there's no pot bonus, and I'm not going to play football.
That's true. If you love a game, you would travel for it when you can, regardless.
People don't. I'm so tired of hearing that. No pot bonus, no pot bonus, no pot bonus. I understand. The game is alive. We have the Pro Series. But literally, a lot of the casuals are not into it as much. Well, you don't know what you're talking about. We have new blood. Like, literally, 90% of the people agree with what Playing to Win says. Crimson Shadow brought up 5 people out of the God knows how many who agree with that point. And we do this every game. We say one thing, then the next game comes out, and then we say, oh, yeah, that other game? Oh, God, no. Man, I can't believe we ever... Why does it have to come to that? Why can't we ever say, yeah, I mean, this is the thing. A lot of people are losing interest. I don't care. I understand there's money in it, and there's a Pro Series, and you want to play for money, and you want to make your money. And, of course, whenever there's money in it, you don't want to say something is dead because you always want there to be money in it. And if everybody says something is dead, corporate sponsors may say, okay, well, then we're not going to put any more money to it going forward. So I understand the point. You play for money. I got it. I don't begrudge you. I would do the same thing. But when so many people, more people than not, are saying, I'm losing interest in it, it's not as hype, I don't find the freedom that you guys are saying is in it. I mean, to say, oh, people played Geras wrong for the first 4 months, and now they're finally playing him right. But he was still winning anyway, even when you were playing him wrong. See, what is the point? We were playing him wrong. Now he's leveled up. What's the difference? Well, he was winning back then. What is he doing now? Winning.
Well,
I mean,
Tom, let me ask you this. When was the last time you played MK11?
3 weeks ago.
Rio?
Shit. August?
No, I'm saying a competitive match. When was the last time you played?
A competitive match?
Yeah, like
Combat League? Like last month in August.
Slips.
Why are we going over all this? Just
Well, I'm interested. Like people say that.
dude, once I saw that Scorpion teleport was a high, I was out.
Dude,
Oh my god!
Wait, I just realized,
oh
dude.
my god. I mean, but the point is, like, it's kind of,
Dude, wait, hold on. I just realized, dude. Holy shit, we're all like, we've been MK players for a long time, but all 4 of us aren't really playing the game.
But I
like
mean,
that,
look,
which
and
is
here's
insane to me.
and here's the truth.
Because the game just came out
I'm playing
like
Tekken,
5 months
man.
ago.
But look, you can't.
No, I know, but we're all like, we like Mortal Kombat, but we're not all playing
But-
a new
but-
game
but-
like that, and it just came out 5 months
But
ago.
here's the problem. I could understand people that come off bashing the game. There's nothing constructive about bashing a game. Nothing gets accomplished. If you say a game is bad, what does that do? One,
It just spreads negativity and
it
kills it.
spreads negativity. It makes people feel like they bought a bad game. It kills a lot of the buzz. And it doesn't even help the developer. Oh, the game is bad. What am I going to
Yeah,
do?
they can't get any kind of information.
What
out of
am I
that.
going? What am I going to do with that? But the problem is, in this community, I read Matt's thread. He didn't bash anything. He put a well thought out debate out there without bashing the game. And other people were not bashing the game at all either. They're just stating their opinion in constructive criticism. You're a hater. The crybaby whining is going. Like, people are terrified to state their opinion unless this is the greatest thing ever. If more people felt they could voice their opinion without being called out, I mean, I don't know. I just...
It started like this with MKX. Remember in MKX, if you said anything about a broken character, or if you said the armor launchers were cheap, or if you said anything about any character in MKX, you would instantly be labeled a crybaby. You need to leave. You need to go back play the old games. Like it started that way.
it's not gonna...
I don't understand. No, but I don't understand why you can't say, "Hey, I enjoy this game, but I think maybe fixing some of the hitboxes, maybe tweaking this or that could improve it in a better way." Like if you say anything like that, there are a group of people that will shun you and say you're an asshole, you're a crybaby,
My
you're
point
just a
is,
complainer and whiner.
from reading this thread, more people than not are saying, I do not enjoy the game. Correct?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah.
To label them as they don't know anything, they don't know this. You don't have to know anything to know you don't like something. Hey, what'd you like about that meal? I didn't like it. It didn't taste good. Do you know what's in it? I don't give a shit what's in it. I don't like it. You know?
Fair point.
They don't find it fun. Period. They don't find it fun.
But honestly, is anybody like pushing that as an agenda as something for Chrism Shadow and possibly Ultra David? Like nobody's really.
And I'm
I
telling
mean, look. Objectively, it's a good game, which I don't think anybody's arguing against.
It is.
But it could be better.
And look, I'm not going to lie here, dude. there's not all that much tech to find going forward, minus a patch. It's a lot of it is
What you see is what you get. Yeah.
very cut and dry.
You know what's depressing? There's 2 Aaron Black Discords, not one. For some reason, Aaron Black community has 2 Discords, and it's like a tumbleweed in both of them. Nothing has been said. Nothing has really been found at all. I go to the TYM forum Aaron Black section. It's dead as hell. I'm like, does no one play Aaron Black? I don't know what's going on. There's nothing being talked about with the character.
I really feel that the variation system is a big culprit of this, though. I feel like if characters had more options, it gives for more freedom. Nobody wants to play a Mishima where one variation has a Hell Sweep, one has a God Fist. That's, I really think that I don't know. Like I said, I really think that the variation system is a huge culprit of this. Rio one time called me and he says, "Yeah, I was watching this Nightwolf mirror. I forget who you were watching."
Oh, it was okay. So I was watching Foxy play somebody in Combat League, and dude, I'm not even joking because it's been a while since I watched MK on Twitch. I join it, right? And I'm watching Foxy play this other Nightwolf, and they both seem like the Nightwolf player he's playing seems really good too. But the entire match, all I'm seeing is this: they're up close, down 3, 1-1, throw, down 3, 1-1, throw, 1-1, and then after 15 minutes, I'm like, holy shit! Like I literally had to leave and go watch something else. I was literally watching a set. I'm not saying they're bad because they were playing very well. They were getting reads on each other, this and that. But the entire match was literally just down 3, 1-1, throw, 1-1-1 combo, down 3, throw, 1-1-1. That was the entire 15 minutes of the match. And I could not watch that after 10 minutes. I just had to go.
I feel like it
could be a Nightwolf issue, I don't know, but that was incredible.
But I feel like if instead of the variation system, the characters had more tools, it just gives you more options. What keeps fighting games going is really the discovery process. As long as you feel like there's something to discover, you feel enthusiastic about going into the lab, trying to discover new stuff. It's once you feel like you've pretty much hit the wall on what to discover, and if that comes very early in the game, that's a huge killer for most people because it is that sense of discovery that makes fighting games so fun. I don't know, going back to one of the lessons I actually took seriously, I just remember all the times, like, on the plane home, like losing in a tournament back in the game that we're not supposed to mention in the community. Back in that game, I just remember losing, and instead of feeling disheartened by it, it was like, okay, how is he getting out of what I'm doing? I've got to go back. I've got to find out, a better way to keep him in this, or a better way to get around it, or to punish this. And it was always something to find, even 2-3 years into the game's life. That's impossible now. And I call it the Michael. And in Injustice 2, I don't want to say who I was talking to, but he wears fur. But like I was
okay.
But I was like, well, what happens if you're doing your mix-ups in close and they just guess right every time? Pick another character. Not go to the lab, find a better way to play him. Oh, there's only one way to do it, and if that's not working, pick another character. I don't think that's any different now. In fact, people's number one response to running into a problem is more so to find another character as opposed to picking the variation or going to the lab. There's only so much labbing you can do nowadays. And I feel like the variation system is that. And sometimes I feel like it can be really hard on a developer to come up with multiple meaningful variations. But I feel like it's a lot easier to come up with one complete character. Because with variations, you're kind of thinking like, okay, well, we need 2 characters from one. And I think that really cuts into a lot of the depth. I'm not saying that the game isn't very good. I think it's great for what it does. And, it's got a pro tour, it's got new players, it's got rivalries. It's got its fair share of tech. It's not like there's no tech being discovered. It's not like nothing else will ever be discovered. I mean, obviously, with future patches, things are going to change as well. It's going to change the meta. It's going to change the tier list, etc. But I just feel like the characters feel very incomplete. And that's why some characters feel super strong. Not that by design they're broken, but they're so much more complete than like another character that I don't know, it kind of lends itself its own kind of like skewed imbalance, even though the game is fairly balanced overall. And I'm just hoping that when they go forward that, I mean, you got to applaud them. They're not afraid to try something. The variation system, they brought in an MKX, and I thought, maybe we can do it a little better this time. But the fact that tournament variations were until probably the last second, that's kind of like it's kind of like a double whammy. It's like they didn't even know what variation was going to be what until very, very late, to the point that we actually have to pick the variation. It doesn't even come by default. We have to equip the variation and label it ourselves. I mean, it just feels like the whole variation time around was very last second-ish. And so the variation system itself kind of lends to the problem. And the fact that you're kind of like, well, what are these variations going to be doesn't help the problem. I think going forward, if I just stick to one variation, I mean, no variations at all, just make complete characters, I think the characters will be made with more depth. And I think the balance will be even better than it is now, even though it is fairly.
I think it kind of reminds me of like early Tekken Tag 2. Like that game when it first came out. One of the things that Namco did that people were pissed off about was they allowed you. It's called Tekken Tag 2, but they allowed you to use one super buff character that didn't have to tag.
Mm-hmm.
The spirit of the game, and like people were just like, "What the hell is that?" And then they started making all these like other characters that were just completely the same as the other character. Like Lily's butler was the same thing as Lily, and then you had Skinny Bob.
Yeah, Slim Bob, yeah.
Slim
Christine
Bob or
Eddy.
whatever. And it was just kind of like it just kind of put people off of the game like immediately. It's just like, are they trying to do? Like they're promoting it as Tekken Tag, also promoting the fact that you don't have to learn two characters. The whole principle of it. And so like that I guess hypocrisy as the game came out, like always had a stain on it, I feel like that with MK11 with the variation system. It's like that communication was so bad that like everyone's like always a little disheartened by that, I feel like.
Well, I mean, speaking of Tekken, if you want to, because Slips is definitely one of the best Tekken Tag 1 players, at least in the US of all time. Because Tekken 7 is a game that's kind of like the opposite of any other fighting game. Like, as the game ages, it actually gets more players in tournaments. I mean, not by much, but the numbers are steady. If not more by 100 every Evo, and not just Evo, even other tournaments. It's been very, very steady. How do you explain that?
I think it's a combination of Street Fighter V failing Street Fighter players, either dispersed into anime games or dispersed into Tekken. It's been a pretty solid game that was always kind of underrated. Like it's got a good engine. It's very simple to understand too, for the most part.
I don't know about that. I would say it's.
I'd say at its core, like you'd take a first-person shooter. Like, what do you have to do? Oh, you have to middle of your screen and shoot. And then in Tekken, it's pretty similar. It's like what do I do? Well, it's like, well, in order to do damage to this person, you got to hit them in the legs, and if they think that they can low parry or they can block low and punish, and that's really the whole game. Like almost every character is, you know, low or this, and just changing up your lows and doing different lows to screw up their timing of when they should block low. I mean, there's variants. There's some moves that like they get a free attack or something like that, but they're just kind of sprinkled in. So the game itself is like very kind of simple to understand. There's combos and like every game's got combos and stuff. So
I know, but the
kind
combos
of-
are much more elaborate than anything in MK11, even in Street Fighter for that matter. Like it's, I mean, it's wall carry. When do I stop? When do I go for Eki? When do I go for Eki? I'm sorry. When do I, break the wall? When do I break the floor? I mean, it's so.
Which ender do I go for?
They,
Yeah,
the combos vary with the walls, yeah, but otherwise you're just gonna see like pretty much the same B&Bs over and over.
I know you will, but the fact that you have to kind of wall carry just the right amount to maximize the damage, I would argue,
It's
is
true. That's interesting. Yeah,
that's I
you got to
think,
play that right. Yeah,
yeah, that's like an art you have to play for a long,
it's true.
long time.
As a Tekken Tag 1 player, where there was no walls, I hate walls. Because like when I play Tekken Tag 1, I'll get my full B&B, I get my full combo, and the deed is done. Like I made my read and it's over. But in like Tekken 7 or really any Tekken after that, it's been read and it's like, oh shit, there's walls coming up and it's gonna screw up my whole damn combo, and I gotta somehow like improv this shit, see if I can get my damage. It is definitely an art to that, yeah.
Well, I think that Tekken 7 has just the right balance of depth and easy stuff to keep players entertained, so that the players at the highest level are not bored, and that the players, whatever intermediate or low
That's how
players,
you should do it. You should
they're
cater
not
to both
it's
sides.
not too much for them to learn the game.
This just makes me scared, man. For like 2020 and going forward. Let's say 2020, right? The next decade of fighting games, I'm scared of what's gonna happen. Because if you look at right now, everything is getting so dumbed down.
Yeah,
Dude, even the
it's not
Guilty Gear
good.
that was announced, the new Guilty Gear, one of the first things I read was that they're getting rid of all the advanced combos, this and that. I'm like, why? I just got into Guilty Gear a couple months ago, and granted, the Guilty Gear I'm playing, it's Guilty Gear Xrd Rev 2, and the combo, like some of the system stuff aren't as complex as the older Guilty Gear, so it's already like a tiny dumb down, but it's got cool stuff like the crazy combos and shit. And just sitting in there and doing combos and practicing, it's so fun to do that. And now that apparently that's going away in the new Guilty Gear, I hope the developer that posted that's trolling or is just using it as a way to like get some of the casual players to just give it a try. It's making me scared because like, what is there going to be left? Like, I don't even want Tekken 8 to come out because just think of how much they're going to dumb down Tekken 8 even more than they did with Tekken 7 and everything going forward. Like, you have to remember when you make something very easy to play, very accessible, it doesn't just stop there. It keeps going. So for the future of fighting games, the next decade of fighting games, when are we going to say, hey, I think we should stop taking away from the ceiling and making it smaller to make everybody play, because you're kind of taking away what fighting games are.
Honestly, like, but all games,
They're gonna, like, you have to look, people right now are probably thinking, well, whatever, like Street Fighter 5, MK11, all the games out right now, like, they're fine, but dude, it doesn't just stop there. They're gonna keep simplifying it. They're gonna keep making it more accessible. It's gonna keep going and going until we finally say something. I don't understand why they have to make something more simplified, but then take away the advanced stuff too. Why do they do both? Why can't you keep the advanced hard combos, the crazy shit, the just frames, the whole execution? Why can't you keep all that stuff and add to that stuff while introducing these very easy barriers to get through, these auto combos, just making everything easier but keeping the harder stuff hard? Like, why can't you do both? Why do you have to take away the hard shit and then make things easier? Why can't you just keep both? Why can't you make both sides happy?
Well, yeah.
Go ahead, Dave.
No, I was just gonna say that it's not just fighting games, really. Like, it's all games are easy to play.
No. I agree with that. Like, dude, I grew up playing, aside from fighting games, I grew up playing games like survival horror,
Yeah, well,
RTS
yeah,
games.
That's another
RTS
genre,
games, dude.
That's
That's not even that genre doesn't even exist anymore. Like, granted, that it's still doing well, but through the older games like Age of Empires 2, Warcraft 3, StarCraft 1, like bro, all those games. But dude, nowadays RTS it's dead. Like I played some of the newer ones from like 6 years ago. They suck. You make a building, the building auto creates units for you. It auto groups shit up. It holds your hand in every way and just turns you off of the game. So now you have casuals that don't even care about RTS because these games were dumbed down for casuals, but casuals aren't into shit like that. So now you're just left with a crowd of players that grew up playing RTS games that don't like the new ones because they're dumbed down, but then they were dumbed down for casuals that don't even care about them anyway. So you just have this dead genre that's not growing with the newer games. And with horror survival games, I don't even think I need to mention them. It's so hard to find a good survival horror game nowadays. They're
That's true.
made so much easier. They tell you where to go. There's ammo and health everywhere. That's another genre I've barely touched.
Games are different now.
crazy.
Games are more
Yeah,
about
they're
experience. They were about challenge. Now they're more about experience.
It's more about like an enjoyable, you're gonna have time on a Friday night
Right.
with your friend and
Yeah.
have a laugh. It's not about,
Well, that's
you
yeah.
want to really invest your time into this, become a serious competitive gamer and grow in the game. It's not about that anymore, which is sad. I really hope the next decade of fighting games, things just don't keep getting easier and easier and more accessible, because I think it's gonna really ruin the games, kind of like what's happening with RTS games as far as horror games.
Well, that's why I think if developers want to use Tekken 7 as an example, which is a game that's, has a little bit for all audiences, I guess.
They have to keep both, man. You cannot take away the execution. You cannot take away the advanced combos. You cannot take away all the crazy shit. You want to keep that stuff and even add on to it. But at the same token, you want to introduce an accessible mode where you can do auto combos by just tapping one. You do the most flashiest advanced shit. You have easier mechanics to get into. Like, you just want to, like, you have to keep both. There has to be a way for developers to make both sides happy.
Well, that's what.
No more of this taking away advanced shit and dumbing it down for everybody. Like, that's not the way to go.
That's what Tekken 4 was actually. Tag 1 was pretty much the start of the grassroots like Tekken community. That's like kind of where it all started, was the first Tekken Tag. So popular. This was during like the Street Fighter Third Strike days when nobody played Street Fighter, and there was only MVC2 and Tekken Tag 1. You were typically playing one of those two games if you were playing fighting games back early 2000s. Tekken Tag 1 was super popular. Tekken 4 came out. Everyone was super fucking hype. We couldn't. No one in St. Louis could fucking wait for this game. It was, they literally listened to all the scrubs and they changed it for what all the scrubs were complaining about. So Tekken 4 had very shitty low combo damage.
It's true.
Took away backdash. They made the backdash horrible. They added in walls as well. Took away like a lot of the advanced stuff like stored throws. And all of the stuff that was considered cheap for newbies, I guess, to learn or get around, they just completely eliminated. And the game came out, and the game was just garbage. And like no one could do anything. No one themselves, because it was just It was just super lame. Like it was super heavy poke based. There wasn't even a crush system. People were winning tournament matches with Paul just doing jab, 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 because there was no pushback on jabs, and he would be plus, and there was no advantage. So you'd have to duck jab, or you'd have to duck the jab and then down jab him before he got another jab off. But if he did 1-2 and not just jab, then you would get hit. It was horrible. The game was. It killed the game. It killed the series until Tekken 5 came out, where they gave everyone their backdash back, and they introduced the crush system, and they make looks like super vacuum on block, and they pretty much they were like, okay, let's make Tekken Tag again, but we'll just keep the walls and we'll make the combos a little more elaborate. That's what Tekken 5 was. When you completely listen to the bottom of the barrel of your player base and the crybabies, and you make your game based on that, it's literally a nuclear bomb to the franchise. That's what Tekken 4 was.
Honestly, it just comes out. I feel like developers just need to play their game. They need to play their own game. They need to have fun with it. They need to know what people would like, what people don't like.
Right.
but you never want to simplify something by taking away from the ceiling that the high level players will play. You need to keep both parties happy, which means stop taking away combos, stop taking away execution, stop taking away the hard, difficult shit. Because when it comes to a game, the people are gonna get that stuff down, no matter how hard you think it is. Like just frames and stuff, people will get that stuff down.
Yeah, like as a Tekken Tag 1 player, like to this day, like I said earlier, I hate walls. Just because like back in the day, I was just like how to handle backdash from Tekken Tag. So when these walls are in the game, and it's like I know how to. It's the opposite of like when we play on an infinite stage in Tekken 7 or any Tekken or at post Tekken Tag, like a legit like match now. Like there's not you're gonna have to actually see if you can handle the old school backdash. Because
I
there's
do
no
like
wall
that how
now.
Tekken 7 has stages with walls and without, because isn't it when you lose you get to choose a stage? I do like that.
Yeah. And so it used to be random, but then there was people that were super good at picking the stage during random, so they made that rule.
What in the world?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Execution right there. That's crazy.
Yeah. But that's just like one of the things. It's just like Tekken's kind of dumbed down to me, just because of walls. And it's also dumbed down to me because they made the jabs universal. Everyone's got.
True, 10 frames.
There used to be 8-frame jabs, and you had to know who had 8-frame jabs and who didn't, and the frames would. There was all a bunch of nuanced stuff that they've gotten rid of.
Man,
In my mind, it's like, oh, they dumbed it down for new. And I think Dave's right. Like some of it was good. Like the get up, they simplified the get up system, which is actually really good because that was really confusing. Even when I was coming into Tekken. Dave's right. There's a happy medium where you gotta appease both. Yeah, you're both right.
You have to. You can't just cater
the silly
to one
stuff.
direction.
You gotta trim that, but don't cater.
They just need to keep the hard shit, add on more to the hard shit for the hardcore players, and add the accessible easy shit. Like add easy mode BMBs that can match the hard combos, but maybe do like slightly less % damage. So if you don't want to learn those advanced hard combos for like an extra % or 2 on your combos, you don't need to. You could just do the easy, just mash 1-1-1-1-1. And you can do like a 40% BMB or whatever. And then if you want to, you can ascend from that and take off the easy controls or accessible mode, whatever you want to call it, so it doesn't offend anybody. And then you can learn the game to play like how it was intended to be played, like when you invest time into it.
Yeah, Tekken's done a pretty good job with that.
Yeah, it kind of, I don't know, it's kind of concerning. It makes me depressed because, like I said, I've seen this happen with RTS games, and it's
I'm worried Tekken's
other games I play aside from fighting games.
I'm worried about with the whole rage art stuff. As a Tekken. Go ahead.
Yeah, like I said, I'm afraid. Like not many people talking about this, but the next decade of fighting games, I'm scared. What's going to happen? Like, is everything just going to keep getting dumbed down every new time a game comes out? Where eventually, let's say MK14 at like the end of 2020s, it's a game where you just mash auto combos and it does a combo for you, and you'll hit somebody and it does this auto sequence like super. Like it's just all super dumbed down and very accessible, but then there's nothing after that. Like, I hope that's not what the future holds for fighting games.
I've always been a big advocate of, at least for fighting games, like movement should take skill, and like combos and like damage dealing, access to moves like should be relatively easy. But the movement is what all the best fighting games. That's been the formula. It feels like for most of them.
You have this free-form movement where
Smash Brothers,
you can
like
move
Melee,
out.
like
Smash Melee has some of the best movement.
Yeah, in Tekken, it's huge with movement. Like if you can't move, like you're just done. Exception would be like ST, but there's like all types of other nuanced stuff.
That's another reason why a lot of people have fond memories of MK9, because the movement was the best it's ever been for any NRS game.
Yeah.
You could move backwards freely, you could move forwards. There was no limitation with stamina. You could go backwards, forward. The neutral game was fun. You could just move however you wanted to. It was like MK11 movement with the block dashing, but way better and way more smooth.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like you have the wave dash in MK11,
but they dumbed it down. It's like they wanted to restrict it. They didn't want people to have too much fun. They're like, okay, we're gonna bring back the block dashing for certain characters, but we're gonna limit it. We're gonna make it so you can't instantly cancel into another one. We're gonna make it so a lot of characters can't even do it backwards. Like I think only Cetron can do it backwards. But in MK9, every character could freely block dash backwards, forwards. It can go back, forward, and like neutral and foot. It was so fun. Like the movement was, it was amazing. Granted, it was done by accident. Interested in 10 people to play like that, but it was definitely one of the most fun things about MK9.
I think that I also just want to add briefly. We all know that fighting game companies prioritize casual, casuals because those are the people who make them the money. But
Yeah, which is true.
I think
Which is true.
But, I
But
think,
you have to remember, wait, before you get into your point, because I know what you're going to say, the bulk of the game is aimed towards casuals. Like, look at MK11. The crypt, the story mode, the ladders, 90% of the bulk of the game is already aimed towards casuals without even them having to touch the gameplay. Already, most of the majority of the game, the content in the game is aimed towards casuals.
true, but I do think that at this point in time, if for Tekken's sake you have Ares who talks shit about Tekken, Main Man Sui, Blasted Salami, let's say Knee, and some other high level players, I do think that affects sales. I really, really do think so.
Oh yeah,
and I think that's why
player endorsement's a big deal.
Yeah, so that's why
Look at
Yeah,
Street
you want to keep
Fighter,
the
look at
game
Street
alive
Fighter.
competitively.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean, though.
Daigo, they were like, "This game's scrubbier and shit," and everyone was like, "Maybe that game sucks." And then the game came out, and they're like,
that's what I mean. That's why your concerns about the game, heading in the wrong direction. I'm concerned too, but at the same time, I'm not that concerned because those people are going to speak out. When high level players, and just to use NRS's word, influencers, they know that these people have power. Now, it's not just one person, but if Maximilian, Ketchup and Mustard come out and Tom says some stuff, and maybe Rio and a couple other people, then the word is out that the game has issues, and it's going to affect sales. It's going to affect the perception of the game.
people watch those YouTube videos for reviews.
Yeah, exactly. So, and in fact, I was doing some little bit of research. I think most people don't even read reviews. They look at videos. They look at the way, at least for fighting games, they look at the way the games are played, and then people be like, can I see myself doing that? And if they see the game being trashed and saying how bad the game is, how scrubby it is, then people are not going to buy it. So that's why I'm not too concerned, with your previous points about, is the game, what are the fighting games going to look like in, 1 or 2 or 3
Yeah,
years?
but you have to remember, even though we do have power, and a lot of people do, dude, it's like, come on, we're part of the 1% competitive people that buy the game. They're still going to make
that's
$20 million in the next game, regardless if
but
somebody says the game is
that
whatever.
that's
It may not last long in the whole tournament scene or competitive, and it may not be as big as it could be because of whatever the higher players say, but it's not going to affect the game as much as you think it is.
Look, man, they do the Tekken Pro Tours, the other Pro Tours,
See, Street Fighter and Tekken are different because it's not as casual driven as MK, but I think MK can stand on its own legs without, even if the whole tournament scene and competitive players didn't play it, it would still sell like 20 million easy. Like, it wouldn't even matter.
Well, again, we don't have any.
It's like Smash Brothers to me. Like, Smash Brothers can sell a shit ton, and it doesn't care if anybody's playing competitively. It's gonna sell millions.
Dude, a lot of the gameplay stuff that's been changed before, whether in it's MKX or Injustice 1 or 2, has been directly. I mean, Scrubs are not making those suggestions. It's the high level players. It's the people. It's the influencers. It's the the people who review the games that are more complicated, more high level play. And again, if Ketchup and Mustard, Maximilian, if they, Angry Joe, whatever, if they start making bad reviews, you don't think that that NRS will care? Of course they'll care. When you hurt them where it hurts the most, which is their pockets, and you're like, you know what, we're not gonna buy these products unless you change them.
No, it would hurt them, but I don't think it would be as much as where they would, the game all of a sudden is going to sell only 1 million instead of the usual.
Well, we don't know.
10
We
million.
don't know that information.
Yeah, maybe you could be right, but
Well,
I
Pro
don't know. I
Combat's
feel like it
kind of
wouldn't really.
blessed with like being a cultural phenom too.
Yeah,
that's how I look at it. It's just this like huge entity. You can't really shut it down.
Well, I'm saying I am concerned, about the stuff that you mentioned, previously. But
Well, I mean, I do my best. I never bash NRS games or anything. You know, like like I said, I think MK11 is a great game. There's some improvements I would like to see, which we discussed already, like the hitboxes, allowing custom variations, and so on. But I don't think anybody would just flat out just bash a game unless they really, really don't like it.
No, that's a good point. I'm just saying that the perception when
The
it's
problem
made-
is it's constructive criticism. It's like you have people.
You can't really state your opinion without getting called
It's
like negative
it's
Nancy
you know,
or
it's like,
crybaby.
hey,
Which
you know, it got old to me fast. It got boring and fell bland. Well, you know about the new tech I discovered. You don't know this. Did you know? Did you know that Raptor made an OS video showing the new tech? I'm still bored. No, you're not. You're not bored. The problem is you don't know. All right, man.
dude, here's the issue. You can't really state an opinion about the game if it's on the negative side. Like if you say, "Hey, man, guys, my character's hitbox sucks. Like, can we get this fixed? Like, whatever," you'll get put in a negative
It's
light. and
so
people will start
bland.
complaining.
I've been trying to get the same skin since the day the game came out, and I still don't have it. Keep grinding that crypt. Yeah.
And it's so funny, like the crypt and everything in MK11. Like I was so confused and so dumbfounded, but I never ended up doing anything with it. And I was like, man, there's some pretty cool stuff with there. And then I would play Tekken 7, and then I was just playing online matches. And then just one day it said, "You've reached the threshold for online matches. All content is released." I was like, wow, that's awesome. Thanks, because I put in like God knows how many hours.
And the crypt you've unlocked it
And I
3
probably
times.
put in
You're like, you can't get
twice
this.
as much hours in MK11, and I don't have shit unlocked.
Yeah, me either.
See, when I feel like they're forcing people to do two things. Like, you can't force a competitive player to become a casual player and play story mode in crypt all day to unlock shit. I'm never gonna do that. Even though I love NRS games, I'll play story mode once, and I'll do the
I played
crypt.
through
But
story
dude,
mode
I'm not
and I
gonna
loved it.
invest. I'm not gonna invest 2K hours in the crypt like I do playing the game online. And at the same token, you can't expect casual players to invest playing Combat League against other competitive players to unlock skins. You can't
Right.
do that.
Right.
Again, this is the issue of conflict where both parties are clashing. You have to make it so if you want to lock everything through the crypt, any skin, you can do that if you're a casual player. But if you're a competitive player and you just play the game competitively and don't do all the single player content shit, you can unlock everything through online modes. Like, that's how it should be. I don't know why it's this whole forcing casual players and competitive players to do other things that they don't want to do. I don't want to invest 2K hours into the crypt. I'm sure little Tommy doesn't want to invest 3K hours into Combat League to unlock that skin he wants for his character because he's not into that shit.
I mean, the whole unlocking thing.
Yeah, that's another issue that needs to be addressed
Yeah,
for their next
yeah.
game. You can't do that.
And the initial difficulty of the the Towers of Time. I mean, that's a whole nother can of worms that I'm not sure we want to open here, but it's the game. The game's reviews, if you look at the, in comparison to Mortal Kombat X, if you look at the, the way it's been reviewed by the mainstream media, it's a lot worse from what I've seen. So, but I think we're about 1 hour and 30 minutes, so I do want to
Yeah.
wrap it up. I want to thank Tom, Slips, who's a regular now. Slips, again, we're very happy to have you, man.
Yeah,
And
no problem.
Yeah, and Rio, we want to thank you guys for listening. As always, please leave us some feedback. How would you change MK11? What do you think? Please let us know. We thank you so much for listening, and we will have another podcast up soon. Thank you so much.